Yo, morning guys, welcome back to the Ahn Rho Project, this psychiatric self-therapeutic multimedia project and blah blah. If you like a brief introduction, which is kind of not what we're going to go through today in any sort of detail, you can find out in the previous live streams for the past 3.5 years, straight up to January 2021 and beyond for more updated versions. So it's all over there. I'm going to skip ahead and say this is a Solve 3.5 override, which means that if you want everything, you could just go to the previous live streams, like I said. In fact, the one from the previous day will cover this 2 days ago even. And so the first 3 segments we can just sort of cover very briefly. The first segment is the introductory bit, psychiatric self-therapeutic. The second segment is, of course, the table of contents. I want to mention very briefly during this moment that everything's going to be slowly restructured throughout time. And then after that, the last introductory segment is just about like disclaimers, things to keep in mind. Basically, I'll be running this with integrity. I have to be honest and real, Ron Jen. You're not going to shy away from non-PC topics. So all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's move on to the second phase. So there's 3 phases per live stream, phase 1, 2, and 3. 2 is content, so let's just dive into the content. And, specifically about content, let's pull up the stuff here off the screen, and we have all this stuff that we want to talk about today. What you see is what you get. Let's sit down here for a second. We have the directory. So stage 4 is the directory, segment 4, sorry. And what we have for today's segment on the directory, this kind of podcast, not podcast, conversations right here on the left hand side. You see this panel as well as the live stream itself. This title, I believe the title is something along the lines of restructuring and doggy. So we'll talk a little bit about those 2 particular topics at least. But basically on the left hand panel we have a recording of at least 3 recordings for yesterday going through today, and that covers things from like the trip I had out with one of my friends and my buddies for about at least 4 hours, walking his dog, going on and eating, and just catch up with life and stuff like that. A lot of things that I revealed about myself that I hadn't revealed to a lot of people, if at all, until very recently in the past maybe year or so. And then in addition to that, there was a recording that happened between me and my conversation with my domestic guardian, so basically my my biological mother and father. Long story short, and it started off really well, and then it ended up really, really bad. But it was like, whatever. It's just not a conversation. At the end of the day, it's like that we don't have to agree over everything. At the end of the day, we may never find an agreement on some things, but that's all right. That's that. And then we have another day. Can't be bothered with the rest. So we had about 2 conversations. 2 very long recordings, and then I think there was another one that I can't remember. Moving on, we have the live stream itself, obviously, and this live stream as well, yesterday's live stream, kind of covers a variety of different topics. So that's all the directory. Now that's segment 4. So right, the first 3 were introductory bits. Segment 4, we just kind of breeze through past the first 3 and then jump to the segment on directory. That obviously covers also relationships and finance, so segment 5 and 4 are connected. So that was a bit of commentary and storytelling that we're finished with. On the wraps, let's go over to segment 6 very quickly. We're just going to dive here to do not sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes throughout your associations with others. This is something that I tend to do a lot, or am trying to obviously get out of. But the point is, sometimes you really can't avoid people, and even then you still have to find the resilience to not let it affect you, which is obviously very unrealistic, but it is still something you should strive for, and all pieces of wisdom are not held universally anyway. So take this with a kind of a grain of salt, but also understand that it has a lot of value when it comes to practical applications that you at least it will inspire you to continuously try and push forward no matter how difficult the circumstances may be. Again, copyright notice right here. This is not mine, obviously. This is from Store Reflections. You can find that on Instagram, and this is one of the very few pages I follow because it does hit personally with me. Alright, so first 2 decades of my life. Okay, we move on from that. I think let's see if there's any more digital media assets. There is one more thing I want to showcase that's a media asset, and that's this. In fact, no, it's not. It's got plenty of more. Here's one at the very top. I'm not going to expand on this too much because of obviously it's an email. I'm not going to show too much about that. In fact, I might want to minimize it a little bit further, so you can barely make out what it is. Basically, long story short, I am going to get my vaccination for my 2nd dose today, so that was that, and I don't really have to show much more about that. In about an hour I have to leave, so I have to be very quick about this with this live stream. The more digital assets we have here, this is very important. So let's talk about Solve 3 override at the very beginning. and I talked about how we're restructuring the live streams as well as the Ahn Rho Project. What you see here is kind of like a document on Dropbox, text document, and it's like referencing, the several documents and media files, and as well as concepts, abstract ideas, and concrete plans. So from the abstract to the from the abstract and kind of like intellectual and mental ideas, straight down to the practical applications, to the actual possessions, the materials themselves, and the actual files and objects in life. Like this covers kind of like, me trying to take apart the structure in my live streams and in the Ahn Rho Project and in life in general, and to allow the freedom and flexibility to move around dynamically many different elements, from the live streams to the components of the live streams, to the recordings, to the components within the live stream, to components within the, like, and then, my health, my fitness, my finance, my relationships, everything can completely be just reworked now. The structure is, it's like, it's moldable now based off of my goals and priorities and objectives, and that's basically what this is all about here. Obviously it's not well fleshed out. You can see that it's just kind of this very vague bunch of symbolic text here. The Iron Maiden, that's something that really hits home close to me, because when I remember as a kid, I was used to read I Spy books, and the Iron Maiden was a torture device among many devices, medieval devices I used to read as a kid, in order to help me get through what I had to get through when I would go back home, or whatever that was. Not really home, but the point is, whatever resembled of that. So that's kind of digital assets, and that covers everything, like from the COVID vaccines to the restructuring to the directory. Okay, let's move on now to photographs. So I want to cover just very briefly here. We have this cool collage here of semblance of items here. Here's a receipt from. Okay, so there's a lot of photography. Let's start off with the one on the right hand side, very top. Okay, the very top here. This is a dog called Lucky from one of my buddies. So we just went out yesterday we haven't done that in like a year or so, just to have a walk and eat some food and catch up about life. He's had a hard life, I've had a hard life, but everyone's got a hard life, and then you just try to catch up, talk through some shit, and then and try to enjoy what time you have left. So that's that, and that's his little dog, and it's amazing. It's really helped him get through a lot of struggles in his particular life. I can't elaborate because I want to keep that private and confidential, but it's an adorable little dog, and it really helps him through the kind of depressive moments he gets now, and anxious moments he gets. Now here's some Popeye's chicken that we purchased. You can see that there's a little hole there. I took a photograph here because I want to show that basically I put that inside this bag here. So this is actually what we fed the dog a little bit, because it kept hopping all over the place and it really liked it, and he was okay with it. He was cool. He wanted to do that actually. And here's the little dog here on the side, just kind of looking up, chasing me all around and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought that was really wholesome, really neat. Okay, I don't think it can end the playground on swings, and here's walking around the park. It's just like a whole bunch of different things that I could show. I don't think I have enough time to showcase all of it. It's just I'm surprised that I'm actually going to try to go through all this. Here's Popeyes. We went to purchase some Popeyes. So it's just like, and then some bubble tea, buy one get one free. A new shop that opened. Once again, the Popeyes, I bought like one chicken, one spicy chicken, one crispy classic chicken, and I gave also like 3 pieces of drumsticks or whatever. The drumsticks for my guardians, and the chicken sandwiches themselves to my buddy. Just purchased it for him, and that's because again, here's the sale on the side. They're very small. Here's a bubble tea, 20% off, kind of stuff like that. And outside, a bubble tea chain. Again, it was used to be like airliners, but obviously COVID-19 took a hit on that, and they just kind of probably went bankrupt. And here's why I actually, I was like, I wanted to treat him because he treated me. So this is what you call Vietnamese beef noodles, so pho. Um, it has that accentuation, pho. And then we have this kind of triple style rice platter right here with the fried eggs and the pork chops and the lettuce and carrots. So basically that was the meal that he treated me to, and I tipped very generously, because it's really great staff, and we ate on the patio outside, obviously because of the pandemic. All right, so that's that, and that's all the photographs. There's a lot of photographs, and so we're gonna run through very briefly all the scattershot at once. So all the scattershot at once, you can see all this. Here's him with his dog, um, and here's more of his dog. Uh, it's an adorable little critter. And then we have, okay, here's us in the park, and you want to swing, so just drinking the bubble tea, the Popeyes up there, and that I gave to my guardians as like a treat, and to my brother. And then we have the bubble tea as well, and so that's that. So wait, there is one more. There's one more, and here's, of course, you can't forget the Vietnamese, the pho. It's just great. And then you can see at the very bottom, like I said, the vaccine I'm gonna get today, as well as just some philosophical stuff that I already talked about at the very beginning. So that kind of covers all the photography. And if I can take the screenshot up here, this is probably today's thumbnail a little bit, I believe. And I just drag it up there and just get rid of it once and for all. So we're done through segment 7, and we can move on to segment 8, which is actually the finance. And we have a lot of Excel spreadsheets and metrics here, right? But I would have to say that for the most part, I haven't updated it. Yesterday we had a very difficult conversation, like I said, between me and my guardians, which is unanticipated. It ended up badly. It started off well, so well, whatever. What can I do about that? Just forget about it and move on. So we have here, can't be bothered to waste more time with all this negativity. We got inventory here. Just gonna update, basically a source of gratitude. Appreciate the fact that I got some food from my guardians. Most of it is like actually just showing gratitude and making purchases for my buddy there, as well as making purchases for my brother and my guardian. So just buying all this stuff for them as like food, and just spending some time with each of them, I guess. All right, so here's the research just on some basic articles on politics. Here's some financing, and then there's the business stuff and health and fitness. Everything's just still kind of out of whack still. It's like everything's still, I'm behind schedule and stuff like that, so it's not overall going down so well. Let's stand up here for a second. I want to talk about, since we're on metrics in segment 8, just very briefly, I want to mention that I'm supposed to add the numerics on this. So if you take a look at the title, it should say something along the lines of what should it say? Like $47 or something like that. Basically, I'm trying to say that yesterday I purchased about $27, so from Popeyes and from the bubble tea. The bubble tea was only like, the buy one get one free was only about $8 after tax, and then the Popeyes, like the 2 sandwiches and the 3-piece chicken, about $19. So that's expensive. So about $27 for my buddy, as well as for my brother and my guardians. And then and before that, I received a gift. Obviously, I was treated from my buddy. He bought like a bowl of pho, and so basically Vietnamese beef noodles, as well as the rice platter. So just showing some appreciation, gratitude, and thankfulness for the people who color my lives, or have been a part of my life. Okay, and yeah, so that's inventory tracking. There would be at least roughly 3 different purchases, roughly costing about $40 per total yesterday, split across things that I purchased for someone else, as well as things that were purchased for me. And yeah, okay, let's stand up now. I want to very briefly cover in the last 2 minutes, or a minute and a half really. This is region D1, D8, so we're in phase 3, segment 9. You can see that region A7, A8 is kind of like, it's already kind of calm now. I don't really have too much to say about this. It's just a work in progress, but mostly in region D1 and D4. So D1, we have all these recyclable crackers here, packaging, pie, flatten a box inside a box inside a box, and then throw it away in the recycling bin. We have some trash here, spoons, tissues, and on the left over here in region D4, let's just run through very quickly everything that we have left in the luggage bag, so that we can go get the groceries later today or tomorrow. So we have these cookies to give to my brother, stuff like that, cookies for myself. We got the pie, we got the Reese's Pieces, because just I love Reese's Pieces. And then on the inside here, again not healthy, we have all these crackers here. So we got this, trying out this new flavor, extra cheesy, whatever. And then these are some things I already tried before, scorch and cheddar and all the stuff. It's all just largely on sale, so that's all it was. And I basically have to move this logistical stuff over here to region D1 if it can fit. Right now on stream probably doesn't, but I'll do it off stream. So that's that. I'm gonna move the crackers over there and cover everything in here. And then when we take this bag out, you can see there's some crumbs, maybe a little bit. And just dust it all off, and then I can bring all this to work. I mean, not to work, sorry. Move it to D1, like I said, storage. The bag's empty, and then there's some pastries in here too. And then yeah, it'll be time for me to just get the groceries after I get the vaccine shot. And that's about it. So that's today, and see you tomorrow. We'll try to continue with the restructuring tomorrow.